All right, Survivor. How did you do last? Are you even in a league at this point anymore?
First of all, I'm alive, but everybody is, right? I said to fade San Diego. I said San Diego.
You said why we're fading San Diego,
right? Because it was Tuesday and I actually had the numbers. Tonight's Monday, so we don't really have the numbers like we did last week. Said fade San Diego. Of course, they win easily on Thursday. It wasn't really easy. It was close to the fourth quarter. They got some defensive garbage touchdowns, and then it was over. And then you feel pretty good having the Thursday night winner because then you don't sweat it out.
Nice.
But everybody won. I had Seattle. Seattle won. It was reasonably easy. I mean, early on it was close. But everybody won. There was no, even if you took the Ravens, if you took the Bears, if you took the Lions, I mean, all those sort of 3.5-point favorites won. Denver, they all won.
I took Denver actually this week.
Really? I would have said not to do that.
I know you would have.
But
I'm trying to, I'm not like setting myself up for a win at the end, but I think I'm setting myself up for a oh shit moment where at the end of the season I'm going to have to pick somebody that I don't necessarily want to, and I think that's going to be the thing that actually makes me win. I'm a little messed up like that, but...
Yeah, don't try to be too crafty.
I'm not trying to be too crafty.
Right.
I'm actually not doing that specifically. I just have a feeling.
It's going to get to that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's good to be out of phase with your pool, okay? I mean, you want, like, your choices. Sometimes you're like, oh, now everyone has the good team left and you don't. So you screwed up. But you didn't screw up because if that team somehow loses, you win the whole thing.
Exactly.
And so if you're in phase, you end up doing the same thing as people because you feel like you have to. If you're out of phase, then that's when you get the big payout.
And I think going into week 10, I'm actually out of phase.
Right. You want to have weird choices compared to what everyone else has.
Although this week, I'm thinking about taking New England, which is sort of a no-brainer against Buffalo, but New England in week 2 was a no-brainer, right?
New England is one of the no-brainers. There's 3 this week, okay?
Okay, so let's talk about New England versus Buffalo.
Let's start with New England. I mean, look, they worked Buffalo in Buffalo. They got down in the beginning. They were 21-7. They won 52-21 or 52-28, something crazy. And Buffalo's defense is among the worst in the league. New England's offense is among the best in the league. And this happened last year, too. Buffalo got off to a good start. New England just steamrolled them. Has Buffalo fundamentally changed to the point where now they can solve New England? I doubt it.
Unless they, like you just, we sort of mentioned in the Beating the Book, maybe C.J. Spiller.
Right, but he can't play defense, right? So he can.
This is true.
He can definitely help them, score. But every game's different. There's different bounces. There's different dynamics in games. New England's home field advantage has been good at times. Last year the Giants went in and beat them. I don't think it's like a dominant home field like Seattle. So I kind of think actually they'd won a lot of games in a row at home until the Giants beat them, I think. But then now I'm confused. I don't know if it was the Ravens or New England. One of them had won a lot of games at home, in a row at home. But either way, I just think a division rival. They know how they play. There's going to be adjustments made. And Buffalo has played better of late. Against the Texans, it wasn't such a blowout in Houston. I mean, I know they won by 12 and they covered, but it really could have gone a lot closer than that. And New England's been off. I don't know if that helps or hurts. There's new bye-week practice rules where you can't practice quite as much. Maybe they're a little out of sync.
I didn't know that.
They came back from England. They haven't been in the routine. Who knows?
Yeah.
I just think that it's probably a pretty good play, but I think it's more of the 80 to 84, maybe 84% variety, not a 90% variety. So I don't think it's this sort of slam dunk that even New England against Arizona was supposedly in week 2. I think it's a little lesser version of that.
Is there a slam dunk, perhaps the San Francisco versus St. Louis?
No. I mean, look, that to me is pretty solid, and I would take San Francisco over New England. I think that's stronger because I think St. Louis, even though they're pretty good defensively, I think their upside is less than Buffalo's, who has a better offense. And I think offense dictates a little bit sometimes. But I think that the team that's really the slam dunk is Pittsburgh hosting the Chiefs.
Right.
And there's no slam dunk in the NFL. I think that one's closer to 90%, 87, 88, 89%. These other ones are 85, 84. So I think if you're just not looking at the distribution of picks, Pittsburgh's the top pick. Now, I think Pittsburgh's going to be a very heavily picked team because I don't think they were picked that much during the rest of the year. So I think that you're going to have a choice between a lot of people on Pittsburgh, and then I don't think New England or San Francisco is going to be available, so you got to go step down. The Ravens have a home game against the Raiders. That's a pretty decent game.
Right.
And then you have Seattle again. I chose them last week in one of my pools. Versus the Jets, who don't travel, who have a bad offense and they're playing against a tough defense in that very tough place to play. So I think that's going to be your choice, the Ravens or the Seahawks, depending on what you have left for most people.
There was some stat I saw last week. It was the New England game. It was New England versus Seattle was a 6-hour flight. New England to London was a 6.5-hour flight. It was like hardly a difference at all for that team to travel all the way over the pond. So the Jets going to Seattle.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, and it's a tough place to play. And it doesn't mean they're going to, but they win almost every time at home. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to see the Steelers you'll have available, and they're going to be like 40 or 50 or 60% chosen. And then you're going to be like, okay,
San Francisco, New England.
You're not going to have them available. And then it's going to be like, okay, do I fade the Steelers because they're popular? Do I take Seattle or do I take Baltimore? And that's a tough call. I think I would take Seattle if I had them.
Just because of home field,
Baltimore,
right?
because of their home field, and because
the
the Raiders are a little volatile too, though. Although they may not have McFadden.
Oh yeah, he might be hurt.
Probably out, almost certainly.
All right, Survivor. I think I'm going with New England because I have them.
Right. Then you may as well
Fingers
just take
crossed.
them, and nobody else is going to have them.
Right. All right. Week 10 in the books. This is RotoWire TV.